Hello, Steve Arts 89. Well, I recently watched the Psycho films, the original films, the horrendous TV pilot slash TV movie Bates Motel, and the remake. And when I did my little review of the remake, I didn't know much about it. I didn't really understand why it happened or how it happened. I was trying to watch it objectively and give it a chance. And yeah, it's not an awful film on its own, but as a remake from Psycho, it makes no sense and doesn't work. And I was hoping there was a featurette about the making of the film, and I was hoping that it would give some insight. And I thought there was a commentary, but there isn't. But I watched the documentary. It's half an hour. And basically what it came down to was, at some point, Gus Van Sant, when he was working for Universal, saw a bunch of films they had the IP for and could remake or whatever. And he said, well, why don't we remake Psycho, like, shot for shot? And they're like, no, that's stupid. And he asked them year after year, can I remake Psycho? They said, no, that's stupid. And then Good Will Hunting made a lot of money, and they said, okay. That was it. That was the genesis of making that film. That was the artistic motivation for making that film. He just thought of doing it for no particular reason, and they said, okay, because he made money with the last film he made, so maybe they'll make money with this one. Unfortunately, that's how the people that run these businesses think. And I find it pretty shocking. Now, there's two ways you can do a remake. You either remake it exactly, or you change it totally. And when remaking it exactly, you can like have the same characters and the same story, but just have the same modern setting. Or if it's a science fiction film or something like that, where there were technical issues, you can have better effects and better production, stuff like that. Or you totally change it. And I never get the point of remaking something to totally change it, because just do another movie. But if you're going to remake it, make it the same film. And just, update it for, say, it's 20, 30 years old, then just set it in this, current time or something. There are those sort of ways to approach it. They didn't do either, unfortunately. From the documentary, it appears like a mess. Like they just were winging it and just spur of the moment, whatever, let's just do this. Let's just do this. Well, why don't we just do this? And there seemed to be no overall thought or consistency with any of it. It's just like, well, let's just do this. Like, should we do the dialogue the same? Yes. Oh, no. Let's just do it different. Or in some sense, the same. In some sense, it's different. It's like, I mean, Anne H. hadn't seen the film. She didn't get the character. She just wanted to work with Gus Van Sant. It was a career thing. Vince Vaughn at least seemed to have some idea into the film. And he seemed to have some commitment to it. He seemed to be asking a lot of questions. But, they just made it. And they just would change some things and not change other things. They didn't update it. They set it in this weird universe that seemed like the 70s, but had throwbacks to the 60s, but had elements of today, or the 90s when it was made. And so they didn't modernise it, because one of the arguments that they put forward, and it was really insulting, was, well, young kids don't watch Psycho, so we need to make a new film for the IP, basically. And it's like, well, intelligent kids do go back and watch old films, because they know they're not just being sold by, advertising. It's like, oh, this is the new thing, go buy a new thing. They actually realise art, existed, before them, and there's actual films that are worth watching from the 60s and 70s, or 50s, 60s, whatever, decades before them, and they know how to view them in context and understand that they're from a different era and watch them like that. And I was intelligent enough to do that as a kid. I started watching older films when I was younger and that. And the fact that they're just saying, well, stupid kids who can't think any further than what's in front of them and what advertising is telling them to watch because that's a new product, buy a new product, we should be making the films for them. And I'm like, why? Are they going to be too stupid to appreciate it I was going to say in the first place, but either way. So what's the point of making the film for them? They're not going to get it. So I don't know who this film was made for, why it was made. How it was made seems to have just been incidental, and he just wanted a paycheck because they paid him money to make a film they thought would make money because he made money in the last film. It seems to be that simple. And it's just really insulting. Now, the weird thing was, in this documentary, they showed that Pat Hitchcock, I think that was the name of the daughter who played the friend in the scene in the office, and Joseph Stefano, I think his name is, who wrote the screenplay, were brought in to sort of watch some scenes and that, and they seem to appreciate that it was being made again, and perhaps seem to think that Hitch would have actually liked that they were remaking the film, and on some level it makes it relevant. But if it's not a good film and doesn't really work, it doesn't really serve much purpose, and this is sort of what this film really did. It didn't really achieve anything. It didn't really modernise it. It didn't really bring it to a new audience because it didn't really offer them anything. Norman didn't work. He wasn't sympathetic. And Haysha's Marion Crane is just uncomfortable, and you're not sympathetic with her either. You don't care that she dies. You have no sympathy for him. They don't really explore Mother in the same way. She doesn't really seem... It's just none of it works. And it's just really disappointing because there was no plan behind it, and that's why none of it works. So there's nothing else to say.